This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. By the way,
Sure.
I was feeling pretty bad from our last conversation because I did not mention that day we lost Robbie Robertson, bro. And
Was
the
that
great Canadian.
before or after our conversation?
No, it was that same day. I just left it out of our conversation because that day was the day to talk about it. But the great Robbie Robertson had passed away right hours before we had talked, unfortunately. So were you a big Robbie Robertson fan, being a Canadian, eh?
I always have to throw in the A. Oh, okay. No, I'll be honest with you. Not terribly familiar with his music.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, question 2. You're not wearing the Expos hat, so you don't have a hat head going to the airport.
Well, and they make me take it off every time. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They did make me take it off every time. Like, hey, yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's coming with me to Houston.
Okay. All right. There you go. It will be there. All right. Have you tripped out with the overreaction on Dalvin Cook? Because, or are you kind of expecting all the foolishness and the overreaction about Miami not getting Dalvin Cook?
Well, to me, it's not. I haven't really noticed, I'll be honest with you. To me, it's not about the Dolphins not getting Dalvin Cook. To me, the bigger concern is the Jets getting Dalvin Cook. The Jets, who were going to be a problem to begin with, now have addressed one potential concern that they had is Breece Hall going to be back to where he was last year. And the Dolphins have to face the Jets twice, and it's a team that they have to beat out if they want to win the division, which is the first real goal, I think, this year beyond just making the playoffs, if we're going to be honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes them deeper at that position. There's no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But in the end, if you're the better team, I don't think that's the running game is not going to be the difference, is kind of what I was explaining to people here, that in the end, it doesn't really matter. It's more about your offensive line than anything else. But what's going to win is the quarterback in the passing game and your head coach. And, of course, you got to have a defense. The running game is not really any kind of factor that's really going to determine what's going to end up happening in the end, to be quite honest, because it's just not a major factor anymore in offenses.
Well, you say that to fans of the Eagles and the 49ers, because I think their offense is pretty much driven by the running game. So for the most part, I agree with you, but let's not pretend that it's completely irrelevant. And the other factor is Dalvin Cook also is a good receiver.
Well, Philadelphia has a running quarterback, so they have
a great running game, buoyed by the best offensive line in the NFL.
The offensive line, the defensive lines, and the quarterbacking and passing game is what wins it for you. The running game is just a complement to all of that. It's not what leads the offense, dude. Jalen Hurts is what leads the offense with his arm or his legs. The running game is just a complement.
Disagree. The offensive line leads that offense, and everything revolves around the running game and the threat of the running game, which opens up everything. And it's kind of the same thing in San Francisco.
Only from a quarterback. They interchange the running backs. What are you talking about? You're
pissing on the. Here's the thing: is because the Dolphins. Then this is what you do, Big O. Because the Dolphins didn't get Dalvin Cook, and you're trying to minimize it. And
no, wait a minute, buddy. I was way ahead of everybody in the media on this. I knew that Dalvin Cook wasn't going to get shit here, so I don't know what you're talking about, brother. I was ahead of everybody on this.
Everybody.
I told everybody that Dalvin Cook ain't shit. That's not what's important. What's important is the left guard and the right tackle. It's not Dalvin Cook. Everything else is interchangeable, just like in Philadelphia, buddy. Every running back is interchangeable because it's the goddamn quarterback and offensive line. Running backs aren't special. They're interchangeable.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I am fighting back on you is you're pissing the importance of the running game
Yes, I am.
The running back. Okay, and I'm telling you, I'm pointing out to you that everything Philadelphia does offensively starts with the running game, and it's the same in San Francisco, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. Yeah,
I get it.
In San Francisco, it's a quarterback, and it's not Christian McCaffrey. Really?
Huh?
Come on now. Okay,
No, it's not.
And I get it.
It's only Christian McCaffrey because they're not paying a quarterback. So they had to go in that direction to put around a young quarterback so he doesn't have to do everything.
It still worked. I'm not arguing with you that the running backs have been minimized.
Listen, if they were paying a quarterback, they wouldn't have paid McCaffrey. They wouldn't have never made that deal. And in the end, by the way, they still haven't won the title because you got to win it with your arm in the end. So the guy with Philadelphia doing all the running you want, you lost to the guy that was passing on the other side. So in the end, the passing is
on a questionable DPI. Come on. And let's not pretend they didn't have the best team in the NFL. Okay. And again, I get your overriding point.
Tennessee at times outside of the quarterback might have had the best team in the NFL a few years back.
I get your overriding point when it comes to the Dolphins that Dalvin Cook was a luxury, not a necessity. For the Jets, he was more significant again because they had the concerns with Breece Hall. And if you look at that Jets offense last year and you can't see that it was different once Breece Hall left the lineup, I don't know what to tell you. And
it was also pretty bad too because they have offensive line issues too,
which they did early in the season as well, and which Breece Hall helped mask to a certain degree. This is where your running back comes in.
No, I get that,
I'm not bemoaning the fact, and you're like patting yourself on the back where your arms are going to get hurt about saying the Dolphins weren't going to pay much for Dalvin Cook. I was with you all along on that. You knew that I was the exact same place. First of all, because the Dolphins don't do that. That's not what they do.
I know that. I know that. I explained that from the get-go that they weren't
offering. So did I never fought you on this. And
all the deals, by the way, were all in the same area until the Jets boosted this one up and then ended up getting him. If not, he probably would have ended up here. You know what I'm saying? But my tune hasn't changed from the get-go. I never looked at it as this important thing to add him. If it was a guard or a tackle, then I would have said, hey, the Dolphins have to make this move. And they would have made a move like that if, by some crazy notion, somebody's actually trading a good lineman when nobody in the league pretty much
which doesn't happen. But would you argue the fact that, and I agree with you, it wasn't priority if they signed Dalvin Cook, he's the best running back on the roster, and yes, it improves the team without necessarily it being a necessity or a high priority.
Doesn't get you any closer.
Do we not agree on that? Do we not agree on that?
It doesn't get you any closer to winning a title just because he's the better running back. None of that means shit, dude. If you can't pass and you can't block and you can't defend, you're not going to win in the end.
That's got nothing to do with upgrading at running back. If you don't think he's better than what the Dolphins have on the roster right now at running back, I think you're completely crazy.
I know that he would be the best running back on the roster, but what does that mean when you have a carousel of backs?
It means that your offense immediately, regardless, is whatever percentage you want to put to it is a little better than it was before.
Yeah, but not at that price. You don't add that guy.
We all agreed on that all along. We never debated that.
Right. So,
hey, but you're making it sound like it didn't matter. They wouldn't have helped anyway. And that's why I'm telling you, I think it's ridiculous. Not at the price he wanted. There's a difference.
With depth, but it doesn't get you any closer to a title. It just doesn't.
If it improves the team, then yes, it does get you closer to a title.
If you don't fix your line, I don't care who you have at running back. You could have Barry Sanders, and you're not going to win anything. You can have Derrick Henry, and you're not going to win anything. It's been proven over and over again. You can run all the hell you want. Anymore, bro. The game has completely changed. It doesn't matter what you can do on the ground. It's not going to determine any kind of outcome. If you cannot block and you cannot pass and you don't have the quarterback, you're not going to win. That's it. That's the way it goes.
By definition, if you agree with me that the Dolphins would be a better team with Dalvin Cook, then by definition, it gets them a little bit closer to the Super Bowl, even though, yes, you need the other elements in place.
Yeah. You can have all the running backs you want. If you don't have the line, it's not going to happen, bro. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, you'll be deeper at running back, but you're not closer to a title if the 5 guys up front don't block. Okay, because Pat Mahomes is the best in the world, and they had a running game, but they didn't have a line a couple years ago, and he was on his ass the entire time. It's just the way it is in this league.
That was one game. That was a Super Bowl where they got smoked, and that was one.
It reminds me a lot of the Heat. Bro, you can overachieve and have your 2-point offense and 2-point offense and get to conference finals and get to the NBA finals, but because you can't shoot threes, in the end, the trade-off doesn't happen. So if you want to battle running games or passing games, you're going to lose every single time in today's NFL. Today's NFL needs to be dominated by the passing game, and the running game is nothing more than a complement. It cannot be your dominant force. If it's your dominant force, there's a good chance you'll end up winless, like the Baltimore Ravens do. You know?
Who make the playoffs practically every year, and then the Eagles who went to the Super Bowl last year.
And choke every year in the playoffs. Every year.
And right now we're still at the point where the Dolphins are not getting to the playoffs every year, so that would be a step up.
Well, yeah, when the Dolphins now actually have a front office. Now they actually have a team that can get to the playoffs. You had incompetence in the past.
Oh,
you had
everybody was except for the people now. Okay, got it. Okay.
You don't think so? You don't think that there was a ton of incompetence the last 20 years?
You're going extraordinarily extreme right now to heap praise on the guys at the moment. Let's see what they do this year.
You don't like the roster? You don't think it's a playoff roster?
It's a very thin roster. It's a very thin roster.
Playoff roster.
Borderline.
Okay. All right. Borderline.
Although I will say part of the reason is because the AFC is completely loaded.
So they're borderline when they're better now. They added more talent, a defensive coordinator, and they backed into the playoffs last year with a shit ton of talent, injured. And they're barely a playoff team now?
I don't understand. In the AFC, why? Okay, in the AFC, look at the AFC. Sorry. If they were in the NFC, they're a clear playoff team. You actually think it's a slam?
Weren't they in the AFC last year?
The AFC is even better. Dude, everybody in Vegas is wrong, right? Because their over-under is 9.5. So everybody's crazy. And 9.5 may or may not get in the playoffs.
Just asking, weren't they in the AFC last year? And they
were in the AFC last year, which is even better this year.
Why? Who accomplished?
Why? Because Deshaun Watson's a year removed from his hiatus. Number 2, because Kenny Pickett's now in his second year.
I'm sorry, I must have missed it. Where are they special in Cleveland? What have they done? Did they make the playoffs last year?
No, other than having maybe the best defensive end in the NFL or close to it, having one of the best offensive lines in the NFL and close to it. They sucked last year because they had no quarterback play, and Deshaun Watson was completely rusty from having sat out. If you don't think that they can make a move this year because Deshaun Watson's now a year removed, I think you're crazy.
We'll see, right? They haven't done anything.
Maybe with the Dolphins, we'll see. By the way, they were 1-6 down the stretch.
I watched the Dolphins make the playoffs last year, even with a crap ton of injuries and a backup quarterback, and they almost beat Buffalo on the road. So I don't know what your
last four with QB1. You want to be all sunshine and roses? Big O, by all means, go for it.
That's fine, and you could be all vinegar.
I'm not all vinegar. I'm being realistic. You're like, everybody sucks. The Dolphins are great.
You said they're barely a playoff team, a team that added Jalen Ramsey and added now Vic Fangio and added Long and added stuff on this team now that should make them better automatically. I mean, Fangio alone, just the Fangio addition alone should make you better than you were last year. And you think they're barely a playoff team, yet they backed into the playoffs with all the injuries they had last year. Do you think they just back in if they were fully healthy?
They lost 4 in a row before Tua got hurt the second time. That's number 1. Number 2, you're assuming that everything that went right last year is also going to go right. Okay? This is where you're just going.
I can't assume that the shit that went wrong will go right too, like less injuries.
Sure. We don't know. Okay, so your position is, they're a slam dunk playoff team? Is that what you're saying?
So you're only allowed to assume negativity. That's what I
No,
always love.
I did not say that.
I love
Point
how
blank.
Negativity. That's it. That's
Point
all.
Blank. And you're all sunshine and roses. Point blank. Do you think they're a slam dunk playoff team?
Yeah, hell yeah. If they're healthy, to the yeah, they're healthy.
And to me, that they're not a slam dunk playoff team. Because again, the AFC is stacked.
Okay. All right. I see Buffalo probably taking a step back. The Jets have to prove that they can put it all together. The Patriots are lost. I don't know. I'm not sure why everything is so negative here, but everything is so rosy on the other side. I love that part.
It's not all rosy. There are a lot of things that we just don't know. You're assuming that because they made the playoffs last year and they made improvements, every team made improvements since last year. I hate to break it to you. And it was, you want to talk about teams that had injuries? Well, Baltimore was without Lamar Jackson for a long time. Actually, they still made the playoffs for him anyway. I'm sorry. Saying, again, if they were in the NFC, I'm with you. They'd be a slam dunk playoff team, and they might even be a contender for the NFC title. In the AFC, there's a shitload of really, really, really good teams. If you don't think Jacksonville is not going 12-5 in that division.
Yeah, but you don't include Miami in as one of them. I mean, I think
Miami. Yes, Miami is in the team. To me, that's like Buffalo. Sorry, KC, Buffalo, and Cincinnati stand above right now. I know you're thinking Buffalo's taking a step back. I don't. And then you have maybe 7 other teams that are all good. And if you were to tell me, and that's Dolphins, Jets, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chargers, Jacksonville. Okay. And if you were to tell me that it could play out any way among those 6 or 7 other teams, yeah, I can believe that. Then that's 9 or 10 legit playoff teams in the AFC.
What major improvements? I was thinking about that. What major improvements did Buffalo make?
Well, you're going to have to go with the injury thing. Number one is they have their safeties in back.
Injury is not improvement, because obviously Miami's going to improve. But I'm saying Miami added on top of what they had. What did Buffalo add on top of what they had that made them like a Fangio? Like, show me, like, what did they add? I don't remember now.
They added Dalton Kincaid, who you're going to see what difference he makes in that offense. Okay. Number one, they added Damian Harris as a good running back, as a backup. And more so, they've maintained. It's not so much that they haven't made an addition like a Vic Fangio. They haven't.
I just, they didn't make any major improvements, but you can say whatever you want. But
they were 13-3, and it went south down the stretch for them after they had a player die on the field before he was brought back.
By the way, just so you'll know, Josh Allen, it goes awry for him in December and January all the time now. So it's kind of,
he's still the best quarterback in that division.
That's the funny part. That should be the theme for him now, because he's the guy that doesn't come up big in the big moments. So,
you're right. You're right. It didn't come up big in that playoff game at Kansas City. The 13-second game, he didn't have a good game that day. You're absolutely right.
They end up falling out short in those big moments. So, he's
because the defense gave up a field goal in 13 seconds. Did you watch that game?
I get it. What can I do?
Yes, you're right. You're right. No, big over. Josh Allen was horrible in that playoff game at Kansas City. The one he almost single-handedly won. Yes.
I remember a game where Tony Romo was really hot and won too, like 500 yards against, I think it was Denver. Actually, he put on a show. Yeah, no, I know, I get it. They can put on a show every once in a while, but you got to win. You got to win it.
It's not really about the quarterback. To say that Josh Allen goes south in December and January, wow.
I think that window's closing on him now.
Okay, we'll see.
It's called the dolphin window. The porpoise is just closing on his ass right now.
Oh my
God.
God.
Closing the door.
Where are your pom-poms? Pom-poms in the back?
At the end of the year, when the Dolphins are dominant at the top of the division, I am going to be laughing at you, because I'm going to bring up this segment where you said they're barely a playoff team. Okay? So
that's what I said.
barely a playoff
I said
team.
they're not a slam dunk playoff team. That's what I said.
That's barely a playoff team.
Okay. Do I get?
I think they're a slam. I think they're a tomahawk slam dunk.
Okay.
Of a playoff team. If they're healthy, why wouldn't they be a playoff team? They
We'll
were
find out.
unhealthy playoff team.
Or could it? Oh, I don't know. Could it be the defenses maybe figured out how to stop their offense late in the season last year? I don't know. Could that be it?
I doubt that very much.
We'll find out. But you have zero right to like be all up, all and mighty of like, yeah.
I have all the right. I have all the right.
Fine. Then we'll do it the other way if it goes south for the Dolphins. I mean, seriously.
An injury-riddled Dolphins team made the playoffs and took your boy Josh Allen to the brink at the end of that fourth quarter. Okay, and if it wasn't for the head coach having some air in his freaking head and he should have run the damn ball or get that play in at 4th and 1, they could have eliminated your boy Josh Allen.
And to use your argument, though, who won the game?
Josh Allen almost got eliminated by Skylar Thompson. I just want you to know that.
Who won the game? To use your argument. I mean, wow.
I get he won. He beat Skylar Thompson. He better barely beat Skylar Thompson. What do you got going on SI? What more negativity do you have going on?
None of this garbage here, because this was bad. My Lord. We have objectivity going on at all Dolphins. I examined the Dalvin Cook situation, closing the book with all angles, including the one that, yes, he was more of a necessity for the Jets and the Dolphins. Omar updated and handicapped the key position battles heading into the joint practices with the Houston Texans.
Check it out, alldolphins.com. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Alan, thank you. As always, safe travels, my brother.
Thank you.
You got it. There you go. Alan Poupart, baby. EJD Construction. Call my guy Eric, Dade or Broward counties. Okay? Because I know we've gotten some of the Palm Beach folks to call, and unfortunately, he only services Dade and Broward County. 305-433-4843. What you love about Eric is full contractor, fully insured, liability and workers' comp, so you will not get injured. I mean, you will not get sued if somebody gets injured in your property. Custom home construction, major home remodeling, they do it all. It doesn't matter if you want to add an addition. We have a listener now that is building like an efficiency in the back of there because they're going to make it an Airbnb. You know, if you want to do that, which, you know, in this town, an Airbnb, you'll make some extra money. That Airbnb will end up paying for your mortgage. How crazy is that? And I think a lot of South Floridians are thinking of doing that stuff now, is building an Airbnb. If they have the property, if they have the land, you build an Airbnb and you rent it out constantly because people are coming to South Florida all the damn time. And I am serious, man. It's like you'll end up paying your mortgage for that. I mean, it's crazy. We had a listener had unfortunately a fire in their home. They had to remediate the entire home, so they gut it all out to redo everything, the plumbing, the piping, everything. Folks, the quality, the work, the affordability, they use shell house construction in-house. That's how they keep the cost down, folks. Call Eric. This is the owner's personal cell number, so you can ask him whatever job you want. 305-433-4843. Call Eric at ejdconstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.